at Stock My Tank. On the channel today, we're going to be aquascaping a UNS 9-gallon all-in-one aquarium that has been housing my 6 Corydoras green Venezuelan catfish. They are such beautiful fish when they have the right lighting, and I'm super excited to be giving them a new aquascape. They've just been kind of living and chilling in this tank. It's a breeding group of 6. I've had multiple spawns from them, so if you follow me on TikTok, you've probably seen their little baby catfish on some of my videos. And yeah, I'm super excited. This tank has been kind of an eyesore for me personally. I haven't really put much work into it, so I'm going to be breaking it down and then aquascaping it from the ground up. I hope you guys really enjoy. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like or a subscribe. It means the world to me, and thanks for watching. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our bucket, and like I said, this tank has just been kind of a holding tank, so I haven't really put any thought at all into its aquascape. That's why it looks so bad. So I'm going to drain the tank down. It just has a couple of rocks in it, and I had bought some plants the other day, didn't have anywhere to put them, so I just kind of threw them in there just so they would survive. And we're going to take those out, and we're going to talk about those in a little bit, because those plants are actually really special, and I'm so excited that I got them. Like, when I saw them in the store, I was like, I really have to have these. They're so cool. And I'll tell you why I think they're so cool in a little bit. But yeah, now it's time to catch the little fishos. I wanted to count and make sure I had all the little babies. Like I said, they're pretty tight-knit little family. I've had them for quite a while now, and they are a breeding school, so I do really treasure these little guys. So now that all the little ones are safe in their bucket, we're going to move the tank from the bottom of the rack setup that I have just to the top of the table. That way we can really get into it for deep cleaning. So you can see here, this is the sand. There's a bunch of like leaf litter and honestly probably some fish poop. So we're gonna give the sand a deep clean. I really want the aquascape to start from a really clean, solid base. This is a tank that I hope to have set up for a long time to come. So you gotta get it right from the start. A lot of y'all, if you're aquascaping, you might be starting with a brand new tank, so you're not gonna have to go through these steps. But maybe you're someone like me that has a tank and you're redoing it, and so this is kind of how I like to redo tanks. I like to really just pull them out, give them a really deep clean, and then start from a good, solid, clean base. So here I'm using my favorite tool, which is a dollar store toothbrush. Make sure you get the soft bristle one. You don't want the hard plastic bristles. I actually didn't know this until I started using toothbrushes to clean my aquarium, but toothbrushes actually come in 2 different types. There's like soft bristle, and then there's like really hard bristle, and I guess it kind of depends on your tooth sensitivity. Anyways, this is what it looks like when it is all clean, and I think it looks awesome. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some more sand. This is Aquaterra brand sand. It's honestly the cheapest stuff. I got it at Pet Supplies Plus. I think it was like $9, and it's the whitest sand I have ever used. And then, yeah, so I had built this aquascape kind of in a box on my counter. I added a bunch of little cool caves because I know that Corydoras are kind of like little explorers, and I really liked the way it looked. Now, the toughest part is like when you aquascape outside of your aquarium, sometimes you go to put it in the tank and things don't quite fit. So that's kind of the issue we ran into here. You can see that the aquascape I built, even though I had used a cardboard setup that was the exact dimensions of the tank, it didn't really quite fit the way that I honestly wanted it to. So I kind of had to break it down a little bit and add some rocks to make things kind of balance out, because things were a little tight and I really wanted to give the catfish enough space to swim fully around the aquascape and really enjoy all the little tiny caves. So here I'm using some silicone. This is the Aqueon brand of aquarium silicone, so it's aquarium and fish safe. It's really good stuff. I also am a huge fan of using super glue, so just make sure it's full cyanoacrylate. That stuff's great. And if you are gluing a lot of heavy rocks, I actually have a pro tip for you, and that is to use your super glue, like glue exactly where you want to glue, and then just dust a little bit of like baking soda on top. The baking soda will make your super glue dry super quick, but don't do this in your aquarium. You need to do this outside the aquarium. So I'm actually not going to do it here because obviously the rocks are already sitting in water, and I don't want a baking soda in my water. That's going to change the water chemistry. But yeah, that's just a pro tip that I'll quickly mention. Now, let's quickly talk about what my thoughts are on aquascaping and choosing an aesthetic for your aquarium. I think that first and foremost, you have to consider the needs of the fish that are going to be living in that aquarium. As I mentioned earlier in this video, these are Corydoras catfish, so they are bottom dwellers. And because this tank is only 9 gallons, I wanted to make sure that whatever aquascape I came up with really gave them plenty of room to run around on the bottom of the tank. So I didn't want a ton of rocks in the bottom. I wanted to create little cave structures where they could kind of pull in and park themselves. And I actually have some cool videos I'll show you guys later of them kind of weaving in and out of this little cave setup. I also really think that, you know, sometimes you find pieces of wood at your aquarium store or maybe out in nature, but it's really important to kind of think about how that piece of wood would sit in the wild. Like, would it be buried under a bunch of rocks? Would it just be kind of thrown on top of a rock? And really kind of try to blend rocks and wood together in a cohesive way. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of planning. So here you can see I'm just like playing around, putting the rock up in this piece of wood, a bunch of different ways, until I kind of land on what I think looks the most natural. And I did want to glue everything down because I have learned this from experience, but when you have a bunch of bottom dwellers, they can really move some heavy rocks. Like, I have had catfish move huge rocks, and so I wanted to make sure everything was glued down because I didn't want to end up building this aquascape and then have everything kind of like destroyed as they kind of play around over time. So I wanted this to be like one solid structure. Now, if you just have fish that are going to be swimming in the water column, you probably don't have to worry about gluing down as much stuff because free swimming fish, they're not going to really be like running into rocks like maybe a bottom dweller would. So yeah, that's why we're taking a lot of time just to get everything kind of set up right. And then I actually found that the aquascape needed to be balanced out a little bit. So I found a couple pieces of rock and kind of started putting them up and to the left. And I really think it balanced out the right side of the aquascape where we have that stick sticking up at the top. The aquascape piece of wood actually does stick out all the way above the water line, but I'm super excited because I think I'm gonna like try to attach some plants up there, and I think like long term that'll look really great. Another thing when you're aquascaping obviously is you really want to make sure that you're thinking about plant placement. So here I knew that I already had bought 2 plants. I showed you guys those earlier in the video. They're both Anubias. It's just one type of Anubias species. And I wanted to make sure that those were going to be kind of the centerpiece of the tank because those plants are so, so cool. And as a result, I wanted to make sure that I had a place where I thought I could kind of plant them. And you'll see that I'm kind of creating that in this area right here. So I definitely want to plant right there. So I wanted to make sure I created a nice little cubby hole for myself to slide the plant into. Cool, so I think we're just finishing up the aquascape, putting the final touches in place, and I'm gonna use this colander and start filling up the fish tank. The water is gonna be cloudy for a little bit, but the colander really does help to make sure that you're not sifting up too much of the substrate. So yeah, I got this from the dollar store. It's a great tool. I love using it. And now I wanna show y'all and talk about the really cool plants that I bought. I got this Anubias, actually 2 of them at Tiny Aquatics here in Austin, Texas. And this is why I think this plant is so cool. If you guys take a look at it, you'll see this is Anubias gracilis. I believe it's from Tropica. And these Anubias leaves are kind of arrowhead shaped, and I have literally never seen that before. So I thought that was really cool. And here's kind of what the tank is looking like once the Anubias gracilis are kind of put into place. I put 1 on each side. I think it looks absolutely beautiful, and the Corydoras catfish are back in their home. So here you can see they love to chill kind of right underneath that little cave. It's kind of exactly what I expected of the aquascape. I'm super happy with how it came out, and look how cute they are. I just love when they kind of like move around in the sand and cuddle up with one another. They're always just acting like one big happy family, and they're really just kind of enjoyable, peaceful fish to watch. I am long-term going to think about adding some free swimming fish, so I don't know quite yet what that's going to look like. If you guys have suggestions, I would love to hear them. Please drop them in the comments below. Keep in mind, this is only a 9-gallon tank, and I really don't want to overstock it too much. There's already 6 of these Corydoras in this tank, so I don't want any fish that are going to be super heavy on the bio load. But if you guys can think of some cool small fish, maybe some even small fish specifically from the Amazon where this batch of Corydoras comes from, that would be so cool. So yeah, I would love your suggestions, and oh, I just love when they move their little eyes. They are just such cute fish. Look at these little guys. They almost kind of float above the sand.
I could literally talk about these fish for hours. I just think they are some of the best fish in the aquarium hobby to keep. Not only are they easy to breed, but they are just so peaceful. They don't really fight amongst one another. It's a joy to watch them play around in the sand, and they just really complete an aquarium. I don't know, the way that they swim makes me genuinely so happy. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Here's one more clip of the tank in its final aquascape, and I think it looks really awesome. If you guys like this video, please consider subscribing. It means the world to me, and I hope I get to see y'all soon. Catch y'all on the next video.